Hey there, welcome to the table. So I made a mistake, and this video is going to be inserted right exactly where the mistake is. I did the whole second adventure, which I believe was Silvergate. So I did this adventure, and I had the video, but I needed to hurry up and wrap things up because I had personal things to do. And I ran off, and I usually make the habit of uploading the video right away. I ran off several hours, came back, recorded the third video, and then got a disk space warning message. So I had to go delete a lot of my videos because they take gigabytes and gigabytes, these videos do. And so I was like, yeah, I'm fully up to date. So I just plowed through and deleted everything, which included my playthrough of the second adventure. So please accept my apologies, but my second adventure is missing. And I can't go back and get it because with the number of gigabytes I was deleting, it was a permanent deletion. I don't know if in the old days you used to be able to go back into the FAT table and all the deleted files had little asterisks on them, and if you could rename the file, you could restore it. I used to do that back in the day, but I don't do that anymore. So I don't want to take the time. I just basically let you know I lost the file. It's gone. So what did you miss? Well, you missed some killing, and that's it. And we won. All right. So here's what we did. We ended up fighting against Bashira, who ended up being a pushover. We killed her in one round, and she had some harpies with her who were also pushovers. Killed them all in one round, and I'm going to explain the basic heart of strategy to these games, because there's a lot of rinse and repeat to this game. And what I have for you here is these are the action cards that matter. And I'm sure there's going to be some other action card like back away, and then they'll create a BLM because back away lives matter. But these are the ones that really matter. Those ones we just pretend that they matter. So why do they matter? And it has to do with action economy and the silly rules of the game. So the silly rules of the game is you're not allowed to move into striking range unless you're in a room with an enemy. And it costs you one action to move into striking range, and almost all your characters are going to need to be in striking range in order to do any damage. So you only have 2 actions a turn, and you have to spend 50% of them to move into striking range. That's problem 1. Problem 2 is when you go into an objective location, you must move into the objective, which is your other action. So you could literally spend 1 action to move into the objective, and then another action to move into striking, and now everybody at the objective location just gets to pound on you for a whole round, and you didn't get to fire a single shot. So how do you avoid that? How do you mitigate that? Is there a better way to word it? Well, the way you mitigate it is first of all, you sound the horn. And I'll explain what that means in a second. You sound the horn is reason number 1. And reason number 2, you play action cards. And these action cards, you want to be spending the whole game building up these cards and keeping them in your hand for the final objective boss. And if you do that, it'll make life easier. So let's talk about these cards and why do I like them. First one is Swarm. If there's 3 or more hostiles, you get a bonus action. So let's say you spent both of your actions going into the room, you can play this card, and as long as there's 3 or more enemies on that hostile card, like in the case of the harpies, you get a bonus action, so you get to attack. And it's basically, you just spend this card and it's a free attack. Okay, that's reason number 1. Number 2, this one is also a bonus action, but it doesn't require 3 or more enemies in the room. So you could use this against the final boss. So save up 3 or 4 of these bad boys, and then bam, 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 you're attacking 4 times. Okay, so that's another one. And if you'll notice that both of these are action economy cards. So you're out of actions. How do you get more actions? Well, there's 2 ways right there. This one is an excellent one. It pays the action to move into striking. Remember I told you you have to spend 2 actions, 1 to move into the room and 1 to move into striking. Not anymore. This pays the action to move into striking. So one of your guys gets to move in for free. There's I don't know how many of these are in the actual deck, but there's at least 3, maybe even more. When you get these, hold on to them. And then when you get to that final boss, you can move them all up into striking range. Now, the boss does get to counterattack. Every time you move into striking, they counterattack on you. But that's happening no matter what happens. As long as you're in the room, they're going to get to attack you at least once. But the point, though, is you get to save an action by moving up for free, and then you can use that action to beat on them. The next one is move. This lets you move into the room without paying an action. This is only for one character, but there's a lot of these cards. There's at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of these. So you can use these to move without paying an action. So again, action economy. The best one of them all is this one, charge. You pay 3 experience points, and then all heroes get a free move action. It pays 1 action cost for each hero to move this turn. So the entire party gets to move into that room, all for the cost of 3 experience points. This is worth it. So everybody moves into that room and still retains their 2 actions. And then if you have a melee charge card along with it, not only do you move into the room, but you can also move up to striking, and you still have both of your actions. This is a very important card. There's probably only 2 of them in the entire deck. So you want to grab these and hold on to them for dear life. The next one. Let's go. This one, you spend 1 movement value of the heroes this turn. So what this does is, like usually these boss rooms have an entrance fee of 3 cards. This reduces the cost. This adds 1 to the movement of all heroes, so you don't have to spend as many cards to move into the room. And then this last one is just a nice one to save for the end. When you defeat a hostile, it could be any hostile, you get experience points equal to their health. Well, at the nuisance level, which we've been doing, all the enemies have just 1 health or maybe 2. Only the bosses have a lot of health, so you want to save this for the boss. It's a free-to-play card that just gives you experience points when you kill the boss. You absolutely want to do it. Maybe in the higher levels you could use it more often. Okay, I need to pause real quick. I have a family member urgently needing my attention. I will be right back. Okay, I had to get somebody an urgent document. All right, so now that I went through that strategy, this applies to all of our missions, not just the one that you missed, but I just highly recommend it. It's a great strategy suggestion. So what did we do? Well, the mission gave us 4 gold. And then we earned a little bit during the adventure because at the end of the first adventure, we also got 4 gold. So we got 4 gold at the end of the first adventure. So how did I spend it? And that's really the key thing to understand for the mission that you missed. The first thing I did is I spent that 4 gold to get Storyteller. And you probably just saw that in, or you will see that in the next video for the 3rd adventure. Storyteller lets us gain a copper for every mission that has been cleared. You don't need this at the very beginning of the game because no missions have been cleared yet. But at the end of the first mission, I bought this before the start of the second, and so I was able to get 1 copper. I spent 4 gold to get 1 copper. That's not a real good investment. However, if you keep playing, it starts to pay more and more and more. And at the end of the 3rd mission, you're going to get 3 copper. At the end of the 4th mission, you're going to get 4 copper, which is a gold. So this will pay for itself, but it was a huge price at the end of that first mission. As you remember, I went in unarmed with my characters. And we're going to talk about that for a second as well, the unarmed thing. So we bought that, and the next thing I did is I leveled up our thief, the follower thief, until I could get Apprentice 2. And you get Apprentice 2 at 2nd level. So I only needed to spend 1 gold for that. I've spent 1 more since, and you're going to see that in an upcoming video. But I got him to level 2 so I can get Apprentice 2. Apprentice 2 allows you to gain 1 copper every time you move into a room. So again, everything I did was about making money. So after I bought all that stuff, I had hardly anything left. and so I wasn't able to upgrade anybody else. Remember, I'm unarmed with all my guys, but I was able to get a light crossbow for a rogue. It has a loadout of 1, and the rogue can only carry a loadout of 2 for weapons, so that fits. And then it has a really nice stealth +3 bonus. You only need a 9. You need a 9 to hit, which is pretty hard, but that stealth +3 bonus is enough to get you there. And so that makes this a 6, which is a lot more reasonable. It is a single shot. One of the viewers asked, what does that mean? Single shot means you reload during the recovery phase, but you can only shoot it once per round. So basically, the rogue doesn't need to move up into striking range. He can shoot the light crossbow. It only costs 1 copper to purchase. So see, I was being super cheap, but it's pretty slick and it works really well with stealth. So what we're doing with the rogue is we go in, we fire our crossbow, and then we still have an action left. If that action could have been used to move into the room, or if we have an action left, we can use it to remove a vulnerable off of another hero, or what usually is the case, and this is a rule that's very important, if the room itself requires a pick lock, that is considered an action that the rogue has to spend. So they have to spend an action to pick that lock. So sometimes you're going in, you're picking the lock, and then you can fire the crossbow. So those would be the 2 actions you do, assuming you have to after moving in. And then I also grabbed a long sword, which is 1 gold and 3 copper, for Gareth, our fighter. And the paladin went in mission 2 unarmed. And then you can see she has a weapon now, but that wasn't until the end of mission 2. And I think I show her purchasing this at the beginning of mission 3, so you should be good to go. She bought a mace. It's not a big secret. And then since then, we've been leveling up some people, the paladin, the squire, Gareth. We've been leveling up people, but that none of that happened after the end of mission 2. Mission 2 was still... Mission 1 was just desperately getting 6 characters out there, even if they were unarmed. Mission 2 was getting our money making going, which is like the storyteller and the apprentice skills. And then it wasn't until mission 3 that I was actually able to start spending gold to truly level up and give us some luxury. And that's the video you're going to see next. Some of you may have already seen it because I'm actually loading these in the wrong order. I didn't realize I was missing video 2 until I uploaded mission 3. So in mission 3, you will see me be able to spend that money a little bit more luxuriously. And of course, as you keep going, it's going to get better and better. And so last thing to cover. I'm actually getting a lot of good attention on Facebook that I'm actually going in with unarmed characters. And some people think that that's crazy, but let me show you part of the logic behind it. The unarmed combat is considered blunt. So blunt actually gets a +2 against one of the nuisance bosses. Just a big hint for you there. You do need a 10 to hit. It is not easy to get a 10, and that -4 penetration is actually the harder one. But here's your trick. If you have Raw the Powerful, twice in adventure you get to roll 4 dice, and if you roll a 5 or more, you get to put a vulnerable on the boss or whoever. So just think about the boss for a second. Let's say that 2 of those vulnerables went through. That's a +4 +2 that's now on the boss, and you're punching that +4 +2 with unarmed people. Well, that now became a 6 -2. That's a lot more easy to overcome. And then Odin the Wise lets you get extra actions, and you can do both of them at the same time. So clerics are very, very powerful. Having 2 clerics in our party, in this case it's 2 paladins, but they're using divine powers. I can't recommend this enough. The clerics are super powerful because of the god, the Odin and the Ra. These 2 combined together are great synergetic elements here. And so you and then also the paladin gets a +2 +1 in the objective location, so it doesn't matter if she's unarmed, she's getting a +2. So if you got 2 vulnerables from this skill, That drops this to a 6, and then this drops it to a 4. So the paladin, playing as an unarmed monk, is hitting the boss with a 4 roll. And then that +1 helps reduce the penetration even more. So you can take down the boss pretty easily when you do that. And of course, when you have weapons, it's even better. Because those vulnerables from Ra still apply. This +2/+1 still applies for, and now we got this mace, right? She hits on a 5 now. Yeah, she still has to worry about penetration, but she doesn't have the unarmed penalty anymore. I'm just trying to help you to see that you can go into the nuisance dungeons completely unarmed and win. And so don't get caught up with the shiny, flashy lights of getting some fancy armor or some fancy weapon. Don't do it. Spend your points to get the party that you want, and then use those 2 nuisance missions to gather gold and money to eventually, buy those shiny, fancy maces or whatever. And trust me, it'll pay off. You gotta look at these DVG games like the way you look at working like a blue collar person in life. You gotta put in your hours, and you gotta work hard, and in order to save up your money, so that way later on you can have a good life. But in the early stages, you're not having a good life, and that's sort of how this works. So I think I found a nice formula that is working. Use those cards like I explained, and then use your divinity powers to give yourself an advantage. And it doesn't matter what you have equipped. You can defeat them unarmed as long as you use these strategies. And it helps if you have the weapons. Don't get me wrong. Last thing is I have a 6-character party. And I actually think that that's the way to go as well. Because that means when the enemy does counterattack, those targets that they're drawing are going to not be weighted against one particular character. It's going to be divided up amongst 6 characters. And so that means absorbing wounds and things like that are a lot easier to do. Alright, anyways, that's enough of that. Sorry for screwing up Mission 2, but thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.